Hello, everyone. I'm Ansley from the Collaborative, and I'm here with.
I'm Sami. I'm also from the Collaborative, and we're from Mountain Vista High School.
Awesome. And today we're going to be talking about burnout.
Introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, I'm Ansley, the host of the Collaborative podcast, and I'm here with.
I'm Sami.
And today we're going to be discussing burnout. So, we already filmed this episode one time, and a lot has changed since then, since last year at least. A lot has changed since last year, so we decided to film it again. So, what is burnout to you?
To me, burnout is just like that dry feeling, like you have so much stuff, it gets to the point where you don't feel any emotion towards any of them.
Yeah.
It's just a complete, it's a crawl through everything, and even things that were perhaps something that you signed up for thinking it would be a positive kind of just turn into a chore.
Yeah.
Because it's just one more thing you have to do.
For sure. That's the same thing for me. I like you saying that it just feels like you're crawling through everything. And I think people often get burnout confused for laziness.
Yeah.
I recently listened to a podcast episode on Emma Chamberlain's podcast about that, and she was just describing the difference between burnout and laziness. And I think there's a lot of shame surrounding burnout because people think it's equivalent to just being lazy.
Yeah, especially in high school when everything is very demanding, and you're told if you aren't committed to 18 things at any one time, you're a failure, and you aren't putting enough of yourself into your extracurriculars or academics or something. And there's a huge difference between being lazy and being burned out. Just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean that you're lazy for not wanting to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I feel like there's a big difference between laziness and burnout, because when I feel lazy, it's I totally could do that, but I just don't want to. And then burnout is I physically cannot bring myself to do what I need to do.
Yeah, and if you do end up doing something and you're feeling lazy, it might not be great, but you can still do it. And if you do something while you're burned out, it's just scraping your way through it.
Yes.
It's two entirely different feelings.
For sure. I recently felt burnt out because I feel through sophomore and junior year, I was working at the same time, and then in the beginning of senior year, I was oh my God. It just all got to me at one time, and I just could not bring myself to I'd go do the things that I needed to do, but with the littlest enthusiasm possible.
Exactly. It's burnout happens differently for everybody. For some people it's immediate, for some people it can be built up. I was the same way. I'm doing the same amount of stuff I've done throughout all 4 years of high school, but this year in particular, all of it's piled on top of each other, and it's just not as I guess rewarding as it once was.
Yeah. I guess when everything is new and you have these new projects and it's all so exciting, and then all of a sudden all of these new projects get old, and it's
the novelty kind of wears off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel the next thing I have written down is what creates burnout, and I feel that ties into one of the next episodes for expectations.
Oh yeah.
And I feel for me, expectations really cause burnout. People are, whenever I'm doing something for other people and I'm not doing it for myself, that's when I get burnt out.
Exactly, yeah. I guess, for example, I'm in leadership positions in 5 clubs this year. I'm part of the play. I'm doing college applications, which theoretically I have managed that much stuff before, and I could manage that much stuff. But expectations surrounding all of it makes it incredibly difficult to, I guess, perhaps perform as well as you'd like in all of those roles.
Yeah.
Because people's expectations tend to grow as you're, like you said, in a role for a longer time.
Yeah.
Or you're part of a group for a longer time. And there's a point where if you aren't meeting those expectations, you're looked at as lazy.
Yeah.
Or perhaps like you're not putting enough effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is certainly one of the things that causes burnout.
Definitely.
Because there's like those expectations like that come from individual groups sometimes don't align, sometimes aren't possible to meet.
Yeah.
And I guess like the people that are asking those expectations may not realize that.
Mm-hmm.
But with the amount of just stuff that everybody is expected to do all the time, and then with the stigma, like you said, around burnout, it's like competing burnouts, but nobody wants to talk about it, so everybody's just like dragging themselves through, like, we can get to the end.
Yeah, and it makes me like so honestly anxious, because like I've always had this mindset like I don't belong in corporate America.
Yeah.
Like I can't do, like I think about France and the culture around meals and like naps, and like I'm like I need that right now, and here it's like 75 hard, like wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
journal, go to the gym, go to class, like
Yeah, and if you aren't meeting those expectations that are like frankly unrealistic anyways, you're somehow like a failure in American society.
Yeah, it's like an insult to patriotism.
Yeah, which is entirely unfair, because like nobody can meet those expectations unless you have like incredible planning skills.
Yeah, I don't get it, and I feel like the second that you, like you said, don't meet those, you become like an outcast.
Yeah.
Like just like a hippie or like a beatnik. Like it's like I don't want to do this.
Yeah, like it's somehow a very radical idea to not want to be burned out all the time.
Yeah.
Especially I think because in part burnout looks differently for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I usually don't show outward signs of burnout. It's all internal for me until I like get home and like lay on my bedroom floor for like 4 hours. Like, oh god. But like some people it's very visible, and like I feel like society doesn't give enough weight to everybody's burnout. Just because like I don't show my burnout does not mean I'm not burnt out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same with any emotion. There's the people that show it, and then there's the people that don't show it, and both are frowned upon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But especially the people that show it, I feel like, because if you can just get through it, then that's all they care about.
That's all society asks of you.
Just get through it. You don't need to be happy doing it. Just do it.
Which is an unfair expectation to have of people. Like, people want to be happy, and people want to enjoy the things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And burnout tends to suck any joy out of anything.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to help burnout and hard to get out of it, because I feel like it's so different for everyone that it's like hard to give advice on. And of course this isn't like an advice podcast. I don't want to like frame it as that, like not at all. But I feel like what worked for me is, I guess I'll tell more in detail about what I've been going through. I started back school this year, and, you know, I don't just have a ton of friends, and I feel like I was lacking in that platonic energy, so I was already feeling, like, lonely. And then I got back to school, and I'm just not a person, like, I get good grades, but I'm not a person who, school does not make me feel good. It doesn't make me, it's mostly the social part of it that's just really upsetting to me, in a way. And so I was, like, going through summer, and then school's back, and then work's back, and then homework, finding time for relationships, as well as just like my parents being like, why aren't you ever here for dinner? And it's like, I don't know how to choose. And then all of a sudden I was like, I feel nothing for anything. And so I took like a month off of work, and during that little like sabbatical, I tried to fix the burnout, but like it's like nothing really helped. And then one day I realized my job was a lot of the problem. I turned in my 2 weeks notice that day. And I feel like I took one thing off of my plate, and it was like, like,
exactly,
okay. Because like even during that sabbatical, I was like dreading the thought of going back. And it's not just work, it's like that specific place, which I won't say, but it like I would just dread it. And during that sabbatical, I couldn't be present. And then whenever I took that off the plate, I was like, I'm gonna start this podcast. like the motivation came back, and oh my God, what a relieving feeling.
Yeah.
So I feel like what works for me is to take one thing off of your plate.
Exactly, yeah. That's always a really good idea, just to, even the smallest weight you can remove sometimes helps. Obviously, leaving a job isn't like a really small weight.
No.
But sometimes it takes those drastic moves to
Oh, yeah.
improve, because like living in just like a constant apathetic state forever is kind of an unpleasant place to be in.
Yeah, and I'm not willing to live my life that way.
Yeah, no. Like just, I don't know, going from point A to point B every day without any semblance of like joy in your activities isn't a great place to be in life. So yeah, and I think especially as students, we get really conflicting messages about burnout, which makes it hard to fix, like you said, because like parents and teachers and stuff will talk about like, tests are ramping up, exams are coming, we're gonna start piling you with homework, and then people are like, oh, I remember my senior year of high school or my freshman year of college, and I was just so overwhelmed. But it's like a badge of honor almost.
Yeah, it's like
who can be the most burnt out?
Who can be the most overwhelmed but still get through it?
Yeah, it's like this really weird prize that people are going for, which makes when like society or teachers tell you have to take time for yourself, and like you don't have that time to make for yourself because they've previously told you you shouldn't have any time for yourself because you have to do all of these other important things. It makes it really hard to identify like what is okay to cut, like what do I have permission to cut, which like obviously like it's your life, you should be able to give yourself permission to cut anything you want, but because there's such a large part of like society or like the school system or education system or even expanding to the work system like you were talking about, like corporate America and stuff, that says you should not have free time. If you have free time, you're doing something wrong.
You should feel guilty.
Like it's not easy to fix because of that like guilt, like you said. Yeah,
that's so interesting that you brought that up, because that was something that I have been experiencing, is that I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some time off of work, and then like all of a sudden I'm home and I'm like reading a book or like doom scrolling through TikTok, and it's like, man, I'm a terrible person for taking time off, and I'm a terrible person for not doing something right now. And it's like, that's not the way we should be thinking about ourselves.
Exactly.
We should be taking care of ourselves and doing things that fulfill our life, but because of this society that we're surrounded by, if you have free time, you should be doing something for others, or you should be doing something to make money, or you should be doing something to make you smarter in order to be a more compliant member of society. And so I feel like comes a point that I've gotten to recently where you have to separate yourself from societal expectations.
Exactly.
And once I separated myself from that and realized I don't like that energy in my life, I don't like that just thought process in general, it became so much easier to let go of this burnt out feeling, because I was actually taking time to heal and not having time where I was supposed to be healing, where I was just sitting there like, I should be doing something.
Oh yeah. It's like the feeling like when you have to like, I guess in my case, if I have to like cancel a club meeting or something because I just feel like I'm not up to it that day. Like I feel so guilty, like everybody looks forward to it and like, but like it's not necessarily a bad thing to give people a break. Like having a break, like permanent or temporary or whatever, generally really helps with burnout, and you have to make it a consistent thing to like you have to be able to identify when you're burnt out, and then you have to say, okay, here's what I'm going to do about it.
Absolutely.
And it can be whatever works for you. Like I know in my case, I keep a calendar on my phone, and I just have different emojis every day for how I'm feeling. And if I have like a consistently bad streak, I'm like, something needs to change.
Something's gotta,
Yeah, and that's how I tend to improve it, because I'm not really good at being introspective and figuring out like, oh, should I change something? I feel too guilty to change things, but having like a physical medium where I can say, yeah, something needs to change because this quota was hit, that really helps me because I'm more logical, or I'm more like logic brain than emotional brain.
I'm the most emotional brain person I know. Well, it's something interesting about you and I, even though I feel like we're on different spectrums of the emotion to logic. I feel like we're both people that automatically take an authoritative position.
Yeah.
Like, me and you got into SPC, and you're like the ringleader. It's like you're herding cats. And then, like in the, like, social aspect of it, and then, like, I have this project, and I feel like I kind of took authority in that, but I feel like especially for people who automatically, like, I'm an Aries. No, I mean, like, I feel like for people who automatically feel like it's their responsibility to be the leader, that's not always healthy.
Yeah.
And it's also, like, there's a lot of expectation there.
Exactly, yeah. Back to the expectations thing.
Yeah. So maybe, like, listen, maybe we can chill out.
Maybe we can start saying no to some things.
Yeah, maybe, like, not respond to an email or two.
Oh, gosh.
My chest feels tight, like, just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. But I do think that's really important to recognize, like, I guess, like, especially for people like us, like you were talking about, who immediately feel the need to jump into any leadership role.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, I don't know, probably more comfortable just in the long run, being able to control elements of the things we're working on.
Oh, yeah.
But that probably stems from a history of burnout, I'd guess, because,
no, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can control things, and it's on a schedule, and you can make it how you want and stuff like that. And, like, when you don't do that because you're like, oh, well, I previously did that, then that guilt starts eating away at you again, like, oh, I should do it again because, like, you know, people have this expectation of me, and so burnout tends to, like, build on itself quite quickly.
For sure.
And there's definitely merit in watching what you're doing. Like you said, maybe I won't respond to this email, maybe I won't take this position, maybe I'll say no to this XYZ.
For sure. I guess just for people who, like us, a big part is just letting go of control.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if things don't, like, I don't feel like it's selfish to want that, but, like, it's okay if things don't go my way.
Yeah.
And it's okay if I have to sit in the back seat and, like, shut my mouth and, like, maybe we'll run a red light or two, but it'll be fine.
Exactly, yeah. There's a big part of burnout where it's like, I'm sure...
I thought that stopped recording. I said, letting go of control. The recording just stops.
Oh, that's too much control to let go of.
No, that was too much. That was too much. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
I think, like, even people that, like, decide to, like, they prefer taking the back seat. They're like, yeah, I want to do what's told of me, and I don't want to have, like, everybody wants things to go their way to some extent, but, like, if they aren't, like, I'm gonna be the leader of this, and we're gonna lead this project and stuff like that, like, burnout could look the same, or it could look different. Like, burnout is a wholly unique feeling, which can make it difficult to identify, which is, like, why I use my calendar, and why I guess you figured out to quit your job and stuff like that. So you don't have to be like us to be burned out. Like, there's burnout even in small things you do. So.
Oh, for sure. Well, I guess, I don't know, if you want to recap everything we just said in, like, the comments or something, I'll give you, like, you deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, because I don't even remember. But I really appreciate you coming, being the only person that showed up. Letting go of control.
We'll get more people.
We will.
Yeah. I definitely know there's people that are interested outside of the collaborative too.
Okay,
so
great.
We can get some guest stars on.
Yeah, for sure.
Staff, students, all of the above.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, we can do some community outreach, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.